The Land Transport Authority has been working with the other agencies to provide more parking spaces and step up enforcement. Since enforcement commenced in May 2017, LTA has issued more than 2,100 removal notices and collected about $180,000 in fines and administrative fees from the bicycle sharing operators, or BSOs. In October 2017, LTA, NParks, and town councils signed a Memorandum of Understanding with BSOs, which sets out guidelines on the responsible operation of bicycle sharing services in public spaces. LTA will also be proposing legislative amendments later this month to put in place a licensing framework for BSOs. As part of the proposed licensing framework, BSO will be required to remove indiscriminately parked bicycles on public land within a stipulated time period. BSOs will also be required to adopt schemes that will disincentivize users for indiscriminate parking. This may involve high-accuracy geofencing. More details of the licensing framework will be announced when ready.
Mr. Lim Belchuan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I ask the Senior Minister of State, what is stopping the Ministry of Transport from taking enforcement actions against hirers of bicycles from being prosecuted because of the way they dump the bicycles? I mean, if we find people for throwing, if we find litterbugs for throwing cigarette butts, why shouldn't we find bicycle users for throwing their bicycles on the roadside of expressways, flyovers, drains? Surely these are worse litterers. They create such an eyesore for members of the public. So the entire public is put to inconvenience because of the indiscriminate littering of bicycles by some inconsiderate users.
I'd like to thank Mr. Lim for the supplementary question, and I understand the frustration faced by the public. LTA currently adopts a five-pronged approach to managing these amenities of dogless bicycle sharing. First, we are providing more public bicycle parking spaces. In fact, all government agencies and town councils allow shared bicycles to be parked in all public bicycle parking areas. There are currently about 174,000 bicycle parking lots available, and we plan to add another 50,000 by 2020. Secondly, through educating and guiding proper parking behavior, LT has been working with the BSOs to educate shared bicycle users, and we have developed educational materials on proper bicycle etiquettes. Thirdly, to shape user behavior. In fact, some BSOs have implemented GPS geofencing, and users that park bicycles within a geofence parking zone are given incentives. There are also BSOs who have implemented RFID geo stations and charges a towing fee to users who do not park properly. And fourthly, of course, we do step up enforcement actions, and currently what we do is to fine BSO who fail to retrieve indiscriminately parked bicycles. In fact, the fine ranges from $100 for the first offense, $200 for the second offense, and $500 for subsequent offenses. And thirdly, like I've mentioned in my reply, we did sign a MOU together with the BSO and the NParks and the town councils. And the MOU actually aims to encourage responsible operation of bike sharing services in public spaces. And with regards to penalizing users, in fact, under the current Street Works Act, users who indiscriminately park their bicycles on public streets and cause obstruction and inconvenience can be fined up to $2,000. However, there are challenges. It is difficult to catch users in the act of parking bicycle indiscriminately. And I'd like to share with Mr. Lim that at this moment, we do not have users that have been caught so far.
Ms. Rahayu Mazam. Dr. Intan.
Thank you, Senior Minister of State. Can I just Can I just check, how many times have each of the BSOs been issued fines for neglecting the shared bicycles that are strewn all over the place? And are there plans to tighten this fining mechanism imposed on the BSOs?
Based on the number of notices issued and bicycle impounded from the period May 2017 to 21st January 2018, there's a total of 2,171 removal notices being issued, and the number of bicycles impounded adds up to 341, and the total fines collected by LTA amounts to about $180,000. And these do not include those issued by the town councils or MParks.
Mr. Pritam Singh.
I'd like to thank the SMS for his reply. I would like a bit more information on this licensing regime that Minister spoke about, because it does appear that in spite of these fines that have been given to the BSOs, there is still a long way to go in terms of ensuring that the bicycles are actually not causing disamenity to members of the public. So can I ask the SMS, is there a regime which LTA imposes on the BSOs to clear bicycles expeditiously? Because now, even though I think there's a 4-hour timeline where they have to remove bicycles, many of them still can't make that timeline. And in relation to my parliamentary question, even though town councils have signed the MOU with LTA, the reality is town council officers or property officers are usually they don't have that much leeway of time to go around looking for these bicycles and then monitoring whether they're cleared within 4 hours or not. So is the LTA going to look at the prospect of requiring the BSOs to intensify their efforts to pick up illegally or indiscriminately parked bikes, because they are profit-making entities after all?
Yeah, indeed, I agreed with Mr. Pritam Singh that the BSOs are not performing up to the desired outcomes that LTA would want them to. And this is the reason why we will be proposing legislative amendments to put in place a licensing framework for BSO. And we'll be sharing more of this when it is ready.
Ms. Cheryl Chan.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to ask SMS, I think part of the issue is about the demand and supply, probably because of the cost of the bicycle. How is LTA actually monitoring and managing this with the BSO in terms of the growth rate that they're putting the bicycles out?
I'd like to thank Ms. Cheryl for the supplementary question. LTA does have regular meetings with BSOs to discuss issues relating to its daily operation as well as the problem of indiscriminate parking. At the same time, we do discuss with the BSO with regards to the optimal fleet size that will meet the requirements of the Singaporeans. And I'd like to reassure Ms. Cheryl that we'll continue to do so with the BSOs. And at the same time, when we do propose the legislative amendments, this will actually set up the regulatory framework, the licensing framework, to control the operations of the BSOs.
Okay, Tan Wu Meng.
I thank the SMS for his answers. Can the SMS assure the House and residents affected that in this study of the upcoming framework, his ministry will study expedited requirements to remove a bicycle, especially in areas where access is critical? I raise this because my residents have encountered these shared bikes blocking fire exits, wheelchair ramps, and other essential parts of the estate. And they are worried that the companies are socializing the costs while privatizing the profits.
I'd like to thank Dr. Tan for the supplementary question. And this is exactly the intent of the legislative amendments and the framework that we'll be coming up with. We'll be consulting the stakeholders as well as the industry, and we'll take all this in mind, during the discussion.
Mr. Lim Biao Chuan.
Thank you, Speaker. Just wanted to ask the Senior Minister of State, why are we just focusing on finding the BSOs? Surely the BSOs should be able to review the data of the last user of the bicycle who left his bicycle in an indiscriminate manner. Would the Senior Minister of State not agree with me that we would be better able to shape user behavior if we impose a fine on those users who park their bicycles in a manner that obstruct fire exits, obstruct wheelchair ramps?
I totally agree with Mr. Lim. In fact, that is the intention with the new legislative framework. We do want the BSOs to impose some form of disincentive with regards to the renting out of the bicycles. I'd just like to remind all members of the House that while there may be interim inconveniences and disamenities, I'd like to reiterate that there are actually many benefits of bike sharing scheme, not just the disamenities that we are currently facing, which may be transient in nature. And these include transport flexibility in terms of first and last mile connectivity. There will be reductions in vehicle emissions if we are able to bring the population of car ownership down. In addition to that, there are also health benefits of cycling. And we will also reduce congestion and fuel consumption. And more importantly, it complements our vision of a car-like society. I was particularly thrilled by a column that I read yesterday, Opinion of the Day, by one of our very young journalists in Straits Times yesterday. She shared her initial apprehension and skepticism of the bike-sharing scheme, but later found the experience pleasing and enjoyable. And I'd like to quote her: "When bike-sharing scheme started in Singapore about a year ago, some turned up their noses at these new sharing economy services and doubted it would last. After all, photos of bikes upended in the middle of a desolated field or abandoned in the storm drain triggered widespread outrage. But writing here as a carless commuter who often feels defeated by the merciless crush of people on public transport, I'm all for bike sharing, as it's given commuting a new lease of life and transformed the way I experience my city. So I'd like to urge all members of the House and fellow Singaporeans to give bike sharing scheme a chance to evolve into a safe and convenient mode of transport in our daily lives. However, for this to become a reality, we need the support of everyone, the authorities, the BSOs, and more importantly, you, the users of the bike sharing scheme.